Okay, so you saw the title of the video, and before anything else, I want to start it off by just saying there's a lot of creators like me who are kind of vaguely, into the self improvement sphere, trying to break into that, and you hear a lot of sort of complaining because they don't fit perfectly into sort of this modern, beauty standard for men, and you hear a lot of whining for whatever reason, like people that believe that you need to be a certain race or you need to be a certain height. Like all those help, but believe me, like if you, I guess, how am I gonna put this? If you fit into like everything like perfectly, there's still some big disadvantages in that. And that brings me to kind of the point of the actual video here is that, in my opinion, you read the title, being a Chad is the worst ending. And first of all, what do I mean by that? Well, generally, again, in kind of the community I came across, that meant someone who was kind of stereotypically like already attractive, right? And you'll hear a lot of these black pill guys, like I was talking about earlier, talking about Chads and Tyrones, whatever that means. But don't get me wrong, there's no denying that some people are going to be seen as just inherently more attractive, and that's fine, that's the way it is. But I think there's a big disadvantage in that you don't get perspective, right? If you just get given, for lack of a better word, if you just get given, in this case, I guess my audience is probably straight men. If you just get almost given like female attention, because that'll happen, right? Where it's not that it's given to you, like I'm saying, but it's that it's made easier for you, right? Like, just anecdotally, I think I'm assuming I'm kind of seen as like middle of the road in terms of attractiveness. I think I have some positive features and some negative ones. But one thing is that because of that, I've noticed like there's a huge difference of when, I would approach a girl and she would either think I'm not attractive or just not for her, right? And the difference of when she actually like does think you're attractive, right? And like they'll make it easier for you by all means. And that's another thing. That's why, even though I don't think it's like effective long term, that's why you'll hear me talk about cold approaching so much, because it just gives you so much perspective. You literally, right, never been into that stuff. Say you're like the age I was when I started watching this stuff. If you're like 14, 13, which is probably how old I was when I was watching stuff like this, or probably 15. If you're like 15, 13, 14 watching this stuff, that's why I would recommend that, because it just gives you sort of experience when you wouldn't be sure how to get it. And it's not the most effective thing, but it is, admittedly, once you get kind of into it, it's kind of fun. But anyways, yeah, just like not having that experience, I feel like it's like in a weird way, I'm of the philosophy that people, especially young men, in a weird way, were made to suffer. And what I mean by that is, if you look at just about any, hero story, any inspiring person from real life, not inspiring in this case, just accomplished person in real life that made it from nothing to something, obviously there's roadblocks in the way, right? And I think about, right, there's a level of sort of perspective you just don't get if people find you attractive. Don't get me wrong, it's probably easier in the short term, but if people naturally find you attractive, right? If you're like Justin Bieber, there's a great example. Justin Bieber was, God, this is like probably late 2000s. I was a little kid. He was like 16, my age now, right? And he would just, granted he was famous, that kind of exaggerates it if you have clout, but he's like the extreme, because he would just be like surrounded by, these fans and just obsessed over. And if that happens to you, it kind of ruins you a little bit. Like, I'll pull up a picture now of what he looks like, back then, maybe in like his prime teenage years, and then I'll find a picture of like what he looks like now, and you can see that like the things that like I might have the drive to do, because I had kind of like a middle of the road experience. It wasn't too hard, too easy, right? Like, I'm skinny, but like I'm gonna get bigger, right? All these like things, like you can't really see it. My skin's not that great. Like, it's gonna get better. All these things, if you just have that given to you, you have no drive, right? That's why like you hear so much about these stories of oh, this guy from, I don't know, your high school or something is, I don't know, like, is him or whatever, and then he becomes fat, and you're like, and you're thinking to yourself, why does that happen so often? There's your why. It's just like you have nothing, like, it's like you have everything going for you, and because of that, you kind of have nothing to go after, because you already have everything. It's actually really sad when you put it that way. And obviously, let me make one thing clear. Don't take this title literally. Of course, there are far, far worse things that can happen to you. Alright. You could like I heard this a long time ago, and it's so true. You have a sink, right? How bad can your life be? You can literally have water whenever you want. You have a sink. Like, my hair is bone dry. I can have it sopping wet in the next couple of... Hold on, I'll be right back. I need to prove a point to you. This is pretty awesome. We'll be right back. Like, how cool is that, right? And now my room is really wet. Everyone's gonna be really confused. There. Trying to get it look a little presentable. But it's like, I know, it's a massive waste of water. It kind of kills my point. But seriously, right? Like, there are so many worse places you can be in life. And I think, I talked about this a long time ago, but I think the way that you get into that kind of mindset is 100% with gratitude journaling. Excuse me. Oh, there's fireworks. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just start it off, don't start, I have a tendency to do this, but don't start it with like the good things in your day. Start with the bad things and how you can be grateful for it. I'm talking about something completely different now if you're confused. Like, how can you be grateful for being short, right? Well, like I was just talking about, if you were tall and generally considered handsome, what incentive would you have to just keep going? Or not keep going, but you know what I mean? Like, to, do the things that you're doing to better yourself, right? To listen to people that are going to make you better yourself. And I think that's just something that you consider. 4th of July was yesterday, so if you're hearing fireworks, that's what that's about. That's all I got for you guys today. Peace out.